Hello again, everyone. This is Gilmer, and this is my second episode of Let's Play Rise of Prussia. I almost said To End All Wars, but as I mentioned in my last episode, I had trouble with To End All Wars, and I couldn't recover the game. There were too many crash to desktops. No matter which save I used, I could not recover the game. Every time I clicked on a unit, it just went straight to desktop. And it didn't show it on the video, but I would get a little pop-up that says a critical error has occurred. The program will now be terminated. So I decided instead of just restarting To End All Wars that I would take a look at Rise of Prussia, which I know for a fact not very many people have done Let's Plays of Rise of Prussia. So it is a simulation of the 7 Years' War on continental Europe, and most of the simulation occurs on German, Polish, Austrian soil, present day soil. I don't know where all the boundaries are at this point. They've moved so much over the years. It's almost impossible to tell unless you've lived there and know it. But I do know that we have Russia, some land out to the right, Russia to the east. Poland is kind of sandwiched in between Russia and Germany. It's not called Poland because in 1756 it didn't exist, I believe, but it's in between Russia and Prussia. And then to the south is Austria. And then to the east are a lot of, what did I say, east for Russia? East for Russia. To the west of Prussia are a lot of smaller German states that some of them sided with Germany and some of them sided with Austria, which I think they did for a fairly good portion of their existence until finally I think most of them were incorporated into the Greater Germany when they formed in, I want to say 1870. I think that was Otto von Bismarck that brought about the formation of modern Germany, or what was close to what modern Germany is. I think it had a lot more land in 1870, but after losing World War One and World War Two, I think Germany lost a lot of the land that they had acquired over the years. But it was kind of stripped from them and given back to sort of kind of their historical owner. After World War One, Poland was reformed, and a lot of the land that Germany and Russia and Austria had owned for a long time went back to Poland, and which I think was a good thing. Poland was the biggest state or biggest nation in Europe in the 1600s, but by the 1700s they had become a very weak nation, and especially with three great powers on any one side of theirs, they had no choice. They had no chance to survive. So anyway, in my last episode, we talked a little bit about the beginning of the 7 Years' War from Prussia's viewpoint. The Saxons are holed up in the Perna military camp, and historically they were besieged and they surrendered, and a lot of the Saxon troops were conscripted into the Prussian army, and that's what I was trying to do in episode 1. But what happened was we actually took on the Saxon troops, and we destroyed a pretty good amount of their troops, and gained a lot of national morale because of it. And if we look at the victory points is F5. So if I click on F5, I get the victory points, and as you can see, our current morale is 122, and Austrian current morale is 85. They started out at 110, so they've lost 25 points of national morale. I started out at 118, and I'm only at 122, and I think what that is that there was a a feature, if you could call that a quote unquote feature of this game, was that if your national morale got too high, um, the game would kind of normalize your national morale and bring you down a few points just to make the game more competitive, more interesting, make the game go a little longer. And it, it's sort of the same thing in To End All Wars, which I didn't talk about this, but in To End All Wars there was something called national resilience, and what that was if your national morale got too low, the national resilience of your people would raise your morale maybe a couple of points just because, and that was a way to make sure that nobody just got steamrolled in the first few months. And of course, it kind of I think models the way people really are when you see your armies. A lot of people when they see their armies in a great struggle like World War One, which what To End All Wars was simulating, you tend to get your back up, almost like a cornered rat maybe, I don't know, but you you fight harder. And, your morale, you're like, yes, give it to them, go, go, go. So national resilience is just pride in your nation in the sense of you don't want to see it fail, and I think that's what they were trying to simulate when they had the national resilience. And then on this one, it's I think a little bit of that is in this as well, where if your morale gets too low, you might add a couple of points back, but if your morale gets too high, it will also take it away a little bit so that you won't have one side, after what I just did in episode 1, have morale of 150 and the opposing side at 85, and within a couple of months I might have won the game. So anyway, some of the things that we were planning on doing is I'm going to actually promote Friedrich von Brunswick. He is the most senior general, and he deserves it. And then you got Johann von Wedel. I can't promote every single general every turn. I think if you try to, because they're all promoted at the same time, the ones with higher seniority get mad that the other ones were promoted, and it will say promoted before they were, but it's really at the same time. I think you can't really do it, but there will be plenty of chances to promote every one of these guys because more battles are coming in. I don't think I can move past Perna. I think I'm blocked. See how if you select your unit, which this unit's basically in this Perna region, and you have all these red regions, that means Perna's blocking me from moving there. Their zone of control has kept me from moving my troops out of the region into these. I could retreat back to Dresden, but I see no point in that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to leave until Perna's destroyed, the military camp is destroyed, or they surrender. So with that being said, one of the ways you get replacements and units is from your military options screen. You can get a new Prussian general, you can get Prussian cavalry training, and it gives you 2 cavalry replacements. These are the replacements. This is how you replace troops. To purchase new units, you click on this, and it tells you which ones you can do. And as in To End All Wars, there are certain places you can build them, and certain other places you cannot. It usually has to be a city center where you can build units. So if I wanted to build a Prussian musketeer battalion, I could build it at Magdeburg or Braunschweig or Berlin, and some other places too, but I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Stettin. But And they have dragoons, cuirassiers, I don't know, is that cuirassier, I don't know, garde du corps, the Jaeger troops, Prussian Jaeger troops. Those are elite troops, and actually, I can read the description on it. Let's see. It doesn't really say what the doesn't really give a history of it, but the Jaeger troops were taken from the biggest and the tallest of all recruits or people, men. They were typically over 6 feet tall, and they weighed 210 to 220 pounds, or they were very big men at that time. Really, I don't know how much they weighed, but I do know that the Jaeger troops were almost always over 6 feet tall. And one of the modern day equivalents to something like that are the Swiss Guard troops that protect the Vatican. I don't think you can become one of them unless you're over 6 feet tall, and they are elite troops as well. And I believe that the Swiss Guard troops were that all started after the 30 Years' War, I believe, when the Swiss troops were mercenaries for everybody, just about, I guess, and that's why they're neutral now, because of that treaty. I think the Treaty of Westphalia. The Swiss troops, or the Swiss leaders signed a treaty saying that they would never send out mercenaries ever again, and they would always be neutral. So I believe that's why the Swiss are neutral now. And plus, part of the treaty was that they would provide the troops that would guard the Vatican and the Pope. So that's kind of interesting little bit of history. If I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me. I think I'm fairly close to the truth on that. So one other thing I'd like to show you is this formation is Wuchenau, I'm not sure. I believe he eventually will join the Prussians, and almost positive these guys do. The Hanover troops will eventually, Zastro will eventually join our side. So the nation state of Hanover will eventually, and I think it's partly because they were very closely allied with Great Britain because of marriage, and actually the British monarchs, or the English monarchs, or I don't know if it was Britain or Great Britain at that point, or England at that point, but the Georges, George I through George III, I believe, all came from Hanover. So they were very closely allied with the British, and the British in the 7 Years' War were allied with the Prussians. There's some more little interesting history. And I probably completely screwed that up, but if I did, I'm sure somebody will tell me. Okay, so the one thing about Rise of Prussia is that there are a lot of turns you don't make any movements at all, and that's because you don't really have a lot of troops. So actually what I do want to see is see how it says the Elba army is blocked by enemy positions in the Perna countryside. That's because that's what that whole thing I was talking about, zone of control. It won't let me march through because they control this zone, and they won't let you just march through. You have to defeat them first. Okay, let's go to Königsberg. Okay, this formation is active in Königsberg, and I am going to we're going to leave them inside. We're going to keep these guys outside. And as I mentioned in my abortive Let's Play of To Win All Wars, you don't really want to put big formations inside a fort, because if a large army comes and sieges you, it's very hard to break them out of that fort. So I'm not going to put them inside the fort. So if they get defeated, they'll probably retreat out of that zone. We'll move him up a little. One thing in this game, there is no railroad. There are no railroads because it has not been invented yet. So it's all movement by boat or by foot. And there is a little bit of troop movement by transport, river transport. As you can see, these rivers are navigable. So that is definitely an option. And I do get a transport capacity type boats. This one has a transport capacity of 40, which is really actually fairly big, because the weight of this is 30. Well, 40 is not that big because two little regiments would almost fill it up completely. So, but you can transport troops fairly quickly, small amounts of troops fairly quickly to certain points. For whatever reason, as replacements, as to, to fill out formations or whatever. So anyway, now let's one thing. Oh, I do want to talk about victory screen. As you can tell, all the ones with the flag of the white flag with the black eagle are controlled by the Prussians, and then all of these that are gold. I don't know what the Austrian flag looks like, but this is the Austrian flag. It's just so small I can't tell what the emblem is. But these are all controlled by the Austrian side. As you can see, Paris is part of the Austrian alliance. And then for some reason all ours are in Germany. But the thing I wanted to show you is I don't know if it says controlled 5, total 11, needed 11. I don't know if I control all these that's sudden death or not, but I do know there's a sudden death for morale, and I think if I get above 175, it's an automatic win, and if they get below about 30 or 40, it's an automatic win. But as I said, with national resilience, it's very hard to get them down that low. And as you can see, the total combat losses so far are 5,000 of my men to 21,000 of theirs, and I don't know if that includes the 10,610 of prisoners of war, but I bet it's not. I bet it's total 32,000 to 5,000. The scenario will end in 1764, early January. It's turn 3, and 174 turns remain. Strategic towns condition is unfilled as well. And most of these, Prague's in modern-day Czech Republic or Slovakia. I don't know which one. I've never traveled there, but I have traveled out of the U.S., but I have not traveled to Europe. And Königgrätz, Olmütz, Vienna, all these are mostly in Austria. Oh, okay, this right here tells me it's Bohemia, and Königgrätz is in Bohemia, which I don't know if that's modern-day Czech Republic or Slovakia. But the reason I wanted to show you that screen is because the overall strategic plan, strategic thought process for the Prussians is you have to defeat several different countries. The Russians are going to come from here. The Swedish are not real strong, but they're strong enough to cause problems. So they're coming from the north. The Austrians are coming from the south, and the French are coming from the west. So you have to figure out, you have the best troops if you're Prussia. You have the best troops, but you're outnumbered. So you have to figure out how you're going to defend yourself from being attacked from 4 different sides. And that was what Frederick the Great, that was what his, that was, the problem facing him. That was his task, to defeat 4 major opponents with a little bit of help from the British and a little bit of help from the some of the minor German states. You call them minor, some of them had a pretty good amount of troops, but they weren't as strong as Prussia, and they were definitely not as strong as Austria either. Austria's troops at this time were not elite troops. They had a lot more troops than Prussia, but they were not elite. Prussia has a lot of elite troops. So anyway, let's see what happens when we end this turn. Sorry I talk so much, but I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of historical type background. I'm not an expert on the 7 Years' War, but I do know a little bit about history, and I also wanted to talk a little bit about the goals of Prussia and what they're trying to accomplish, and what the obstacles are that are in their way that they have to overcome. The 4 obstacles being Russia, Austria, Sweden, and France. So that's basically the 4 big obstacles that they have to defeat. Let's see, this day is on. Look at that. Ferdinand von Brunswick has been promoted to the rank of prince. Well, that's basically, I think, a 4-star general. Sir, cavalry and light troops from Austria have launched reconnaissance efforts in the vicinity of Perna. Who cares? The control of Torgau has increased to 100 at day 15. That's this one. It was already in our hands. Movements. Wessel, that's way over to the west. I put there's not a lot of troops, so I just put them in the fortress and hope they last a long time when France attacks. Poor sanitation debilitates your largest army. I should have turned off attrition, because this little mechanic right here happens to your largest army every single time almost, and it just guts your army. I've forgotten about that, but live and learn. Well, I say live and learn, but I should have between that already. I don't think I will before the winter come down, because as I mentioned in my last episode, the winter in this game in basically northern Germany and central Germany, I guess, Central Europe and northern Europe, it's pretty harsh, and there are a lot of mountains. These mountains all become impassable usually at some point during the winter. They freeze up, they have blizzard conditions, and if you get caught on this side of them, you can get annihilated pretty quickly. And if you get caught out away from a fort or a depot, you could be in serious trouble. Let's see. See that? This is what kind of bugs me. I'm on normal attrition. Well, he's dropped 700 points in one turn. But come on. I know attrition happened, but that's a little ridiculous. And now I'm trying to place the cursor. And you can still lock these just like you can in Twin All Wars if you're afraid of accidentally combining them, which happens a lot. And I can't get trying to cursor over this. I'm going to assault. Care. Might as well. It looks like my army's going away anyway. I'll go away for a reason. And so I'm putting them all on assault except this guy because he is not active. Thanks a lot, pal. Let's see. 122 to 85 still. Regular soldiers. You know what? I think I will. Train some naval troops. Can't have too many Jaeger troops. They are very good at assaulting, breaking lines, things like that. So let's save this and let's play another turn. And as you can tell, even though this is 176 turns long, it goes a lot faster than To End All Wars, even though To End All Wars is something like 116 or 17 turns, or 126 turns. This goes a lot quicker because the turns go a lot faster because there's not anywhere near as many formations or factions or anything like that. So it is a lot quicker game. So if you're no good, you get your butt kicked a lot quicker, which is what's going to happen to me. But I'm going to fight this one on. I'm going to fight to the bitter end. If I lose, I lose. Because I hate people that do Let's Plays where they always win. You know, and for playing To End All Wars, I probably would have won. This is Marshall Brown. He's come up to relieve the siege of Perna. We'll see. It doesn't have the green, red little bar that it puts there in later games. So you don't see that, but it's still, you got the commanding general on this side and the commanding general on that side. Fall back! Fall back! He said that in English. For the Kaiser!
Angriff! Linie halten!
Angriff, Linie halten! It sounds like one rifle shooting at points. Like there, one rifle's going off. That's a little funny. He's a great general, or was a great general. He should win this battle fairly easily. 3-2. That's pretty good odds. Come on, Friedrich. Sounded like a cavalry charge. Prussian victory. We lost 2,300 men. They lost 8,000. We destroyed 3 of their units. So we should get some national morale of this as well. And all these abilities, 25% combat bonus for all cavalry units in the stack, if in clear woods, hills, steppes, or desert terrain. So all that And then we have 25%. 20 if the what does that say? Units under his command may deploy better, and more units will be able to engage the enemy when attacking. Also apply if army commander. If you play these games long enough and read the forums long enough, you'll hear a term called frontage. And basically what frontage means is how many troops can be on the front line in any given battle inside the region the battle's taking place. So they have a very mysterious formula to figure that out. But if you have a general that can give you more frontage, that gives you a very big advantage, and he does that. So that's part of the reason. What does this say? Your opponent has made one attempt to retreat. So they tried to retreat. What else? Anything? During the battle, your opponent's subunits failed. 39 morale checks. Ha! See, I told you, their troops in this game, I don't know if it was historically, but I think they try to be as historical as possible. Their troops weren't very good morale-wise or training-wise, whereas the Prussians were elite in training and elite in supplies and elite in morale. So, let's see. Brutowski. So now this is the assault, I think. 25 to 20. That might not go very well. We should have more troops, but they might have failed some kind of die roll or something. Or maybe we had 25 minutes ago, I'm not sure. But I win it. Their troops seem to be dropping more quickly than my troops, so we might be able to win this battle.
Vorrücken!
2-1, almost. There's a lull in the battle. Now we're at 2-1. So maybe, just maybe, we'll win this assault. Prussian victory. We destroyed 25 units. That is pretty fantastic. We lost 1,100 men. They lost 6,800 men. And I know in the last episode that I said attacking Perna was a little gamey, is considered gamey, but they didn't allow me to march through Perna, and also they were kind of killing me with attrition. I decided to go ahead and even the odds out a little bit. Assaulting this guy. These battles take forever. This will probably be my last time in this episode, because these battles take forever. As I was saying, these battles take a really long time. It's almost as if they're modeling each single soldier, whether that single soldier is dying. Oh, it says one of Prussia's formations is retreating. Austria is routing. Both sides are completely locked in combat. Lutowski's failed to retreat. Another big victory. There's that one lone rifleman. Man, I forgot what to say. Some of the units of Austria sound like artillery going off. Prussia forces are trying to maneuver around the enemy. I don't know. It's just flavor being put into the game so that when you read it, you think, wow, they're trying to maneuver around the enemy. Another huge victory. It looks like this is going to go on until he's completely gone. Starting to feel like David Lee Roth every time I start to talk. The sound starts. There are going to be a lot of generals promotable again this turn. I can guarantee you that. But our armies are going to be completely devastated. It's going to be almost a Pyrrhic victory. We're going to have lost so many men. Austria, Lutowski's column has failed to retreat. Lutowski. 32 men left. 2 men left. It's like in shift. Now there's 1 guy left. We have taken Perna. That is the end of that turn for all intents and purposes. See how the snow's coming? Look at that. That's what I was talking about. Be warned that winter is here and the mountain can be blocked at any time. That is not good to be caught in the winter. We captured a supply train. Heinrich von Preussen has been congratulated and is now promotable. Ferdinand von Preussen has been congratulated and is now promotable. Von Seydlitz, von Forcade, von Zastro, von Wickerat, von Weddell, von Fink, von Lundteufel, von Itzenplatz. So let's I'll keep going just long enough to show you who I'm figuring out on. Heinrich von Preußen will be the next guy that I promote. We'll promote him to 3-star. Is that him? It's Ferdinand. I don't want Ferdinand, I want Friedrich. No, wait a minute. Do I want Ferdinand? Forgot. Heinrich von Preußen. Heinrich. Guess he's Friedrich's brother. Shoot. Heinrich von Preußen. Where is he? Oh, this is him, isn't it? Yep. See, I've got to pull him out of that formation now and then promote him. That's just one. Now, let's see. We have gained control of Perna camp in region Perna. We gained 9 morale points. We gained 8, that's 17. We gained 6, that's 23. We gained 7, that's 30. We gained 3, that's 33. F5. My morale is at 149, and they are down to 81. So they only lost 4 morale, but I gained, what, 27? That is pretty nice. And in this game, there are certain levels of national morale where your troops start not fighting as well. You know, anything under something like 85 or so, they start fighting at a lesser attack level, essentially. I am actually going to see there's no supply there. I'm going to move them back here. See, I do things that are really not the smartest way to do things. And these supply trains are empty, looks like, but are mostly empty. But you know, they still are worth something. So let's move this whole army back to Dresden. Let's move them back to Boxing. Yeah, so thanks for watching. This is my episode 2 of my Let's Play to Rise of Prussia. I almost said to end of all wars again. I'm so used to saying it. This is the game called Rise of Prussia. It is a simulation of the 7 Years' War, which occurred from 1756 to 1763. If you're familiar with the French and Indian War in the U.S., you know, in the New World on the North American continent, that coincided with the 7 Years' War. And you know, a lot of people in the U.S. don't know that much about the 7 Years' War. I learned about it by buying this game along, you know, however many years ago it was, 7 or 8 years. I'd heard of Friedrich the Great, and you know, I was interested in him, and I bought this and started learning a lot more about the 7 Years' War and what it entailed. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.